in case you missed it. So, according to Cinema Blend, Arnold Schwarzenegger is getting ready to jump into his first big TV show. Okay, and this author says he's down with it. Let's check out the details. Okay, Arnold did some TV early on in his career, right. But once again, he's excited about him headlining a TV show. But here's where it gets interesting. Arnold is going to do something called a global spy adventure. Now that's very intriguing to me. Does that mean it's something like along the lines of Mission Impossible, where he's part of like an impossible mission force and he does covert operations for the government? Is it something where Arnold is more independent? That's the one that I'm hoping. I really don't want to see him working for anyone. I want to see him as the leader of his own kind of group, his own kind of thing, where he's dealing with whatever kind of spy stuff he's doing. But if it's a spy situation, he's got to be spying for someone, or it's possible he could be like Mr. Universe in Firefly Serenity World and be an information broker. That might be interesting too. He's like a Talon Card in the Star Wars extended universe, that maybe he's getting information, maybe he's selling to the highest bidder. Really, really important in terms of, who he's working for and what that angle is, and if he's going to be doing like Tom Cruise and doing his own stunts, which probably not, but maybe so, you never know. But also the dynamic between the father and the daughter thing is really, really important. Are they going to put more of the focus on her? I hope he's not a joke, where he's not just the butt of, old man jokes and she's doing all the work. Is it going to be a true partnership? Is he actually going to be the lead character and more of a mentor role for his daughter? All of these things are really important because, yes, his name is the draw, but it's how they frame it. It's the angles from which they tell the stories that's going to make it interesting or not, that's going to make it succeed or not. So him teaming up with a daughter figure is cool, but again, just, who's the lead character? Then it goes on to say that they're casting the daughter, which is cool. But the question then becomes, as the article mentions, who's it going to be? Is it going to go with someone that's already proven to have an audience, to be an audience draw, that already has a fan base, like Katie Sackhoff or Gina Carano, which would be interesting. But I kind of feel like this should go the way of maybe a TV extension of True Lies. Now, wouldn't that be interesting if they brought in Eliza Dushku for this role as well? That would be something if we see the True Lies family and she's all grown up. But I kind of feel like, I don't know, I kind of feel like the daughter should skew younger to make it maybe more of a mentor role. I could be wrong. I could be off. That could not work at all. But it just feels like to me, that would bring in maybe the demographic they were looking for, and that would also give the actress time to grow into the role, maybe even take over the role. It would be more believable in terms of her stage of life if she's just learning. Now, if she's already mature, she already knows as much as Arnold, or they've been partners for a long time, they've been out there doing what they've been doing for a long time, that'll be an interesting dynamic. Maybe that might be like Nash and, I forgot her name, on The Flash, basically Indiana Jones and his daughter out there, collecting artifacts from around the world. But the point I'm trying to make is that once again, this daughter choice and the angle they tell the story from is what's going to make the difference. Because if it devolves into just, like too much drama, like for example, I'll give you an example of a dynamic that I think is working perfectly, and that's the dynamic between Courtney Whitmore, Stargirl, and Pat Dugan, Stripesy, or Stripe now with his robot. That dynamic is working perfectly. Courtney is 15 or 16 on the show. I think Breck is in her 20s in real life, but on the show, Courtney is 15, and Pat's her stepdad, and they've been building that true father-daughter relationship all season long, and it really took a step upwards. They really got a glow up in the season finale. But the point I'm trying to make there is that she acted very much like where she was someone that had been granted powers and was just all gung-ho, charging, wouldn't take any advice, made a lot of foolish mistakes. So I'm really interested to see in this show with Arnold if that kind of growth arc is going to be present in the daughter character. And does the Arnold character, will he have an arc? It's entirely possible for him to have an arc. How do we know that? We know that because of Rocky in Creed and Creed 2. We saw Rocky go from rags to riches and back to rags, and later on Adrian dies. But now he's mentoring Apollo's long-lost son, his love child, his child with a side chick. And Rocky is now Mickey. And that kind of completes Rocky's arc from the time where we met him. So is Arnold's character in this show going to do that? Is he eventually going to be the Mickey? Is he eventually going to be the Yoda? Or is he going to be, again, like a Liam Neeson, like an older action star himself? Very, very important. So now the article, unfortunately, has to remind us of Schwarzenegger's last film appearance in Terminator Dark Fate. But I don't actually blame Arnold for the failure of that movie in any other sense than that he agreed to do it because he should have known better. Let me say it once and for all, and I'm not the only one that says this, but the Terminator franchise was an action-adventure vehicle for Schwarzenegger when he was young. The Terminator story was over in the second movie because of the nature of the story, but the proper heir to the Terminator franchise was the incredible Terminator Sarah Connor Chronicles, which aired on Fox for 2 seasons, which was in my top 3 favorite shows of all time. One of these days, I'm going to get back to finishing my review of it. Just time is always an issue. But that show was the real heir to the Terminator franchise. It asked all the right questions. It gave us the development of John Connor from taking him from where he was at the end of T2 and for us beginning to see him turn into the leader he needed to be. And it was excellent. Very rarely have I seen a show as well done as that show. And I just loved it. And I'm so sorry they canceled it. And it ended on a cliffhanger because of course it did. But in terms of the Terminator franchise, T1, T2, and Sarah Connor Chronicles are it as far as I'm concerned. Now, I understood what they were trying to do in Terminator Salvation. Terminator, as a franchise, suffers from putting the camera in the wrong places. They kept telling stories that we didn't want to see, and they never told the stories that we did want to see. The story that we wanted to see that would have been a hit would have been what the Kyle Reese character described in the first movie, the world he grew up in, when the infiltrator unit started showing up, because he grew up after the war, after Judgment Day. But eventually he ran face-to-face in with these infiltrators. That's how he knew what they were when he went back in time to save Sarah Connor. We wanted to see that world. Now, I think that's what they were trying to do with Terminator Salvation, except that they didn't understand. We wanted to see Michael Bihn's Kyle Reese's version of that world, which would needed to have been done by James Cameron. The world they did in Terminator Salvation was just too bright, too light, too goofy. They made a bunch of robots that were ridiculous, and they made the infiltrator units look stupid by comparison. And Christian Bale just did not convince me he was John Connor. You know, that's what they tend to do. Once one actor has one successful role, then they think he needs to be in every role. They did the same thing with Sam Worthington. But the idea there of trying to integrate human flesh and a metal endoskeleton, they should have read the excellent Terminator vs. RoboCop comic series. If you never read it, I highly recommend it. In there, they reveal that Alex Murphy is actually the one that taught Skynet how to integrate human flesh and cyborg parts, being the first truly successful cyborg to survive the process. And Alex Murphy was actually the key to Skynet inventing Terminators. You really need to read it. It's a great read. You should check it out. As a matter of fact, I'll put a link to it in the comments below. But the point I'm trying to make is that Terminator Salvation, I think that's what it was trying to do, but that was the wrong version of that world. We wanted to see Kyle Reese in T1, his world. We wanted to see that. That would have been a success. But after Sarah Connor Chronicles, the franchise keeps putting the camera in the wrong place. And in Dark Fate, they upend the entire premise of the whole thing. It's just ridiculous. It's just ridiculous. And Arnold should have known better than to do that. But anyway, all things considered, I am looking forward to this. I do think that I really think that this could be good. This could really be exciting based on, again, how they frame it. And if they frame it well, that's the thing. But I'll definitely be checking out the pilot and give you some feedback on that. Now, if I think it's lame and it's not going anywhere, then I'll make no promises to watch this show, because I am no longer investing in shows that don't catch my interest. Just not going to do it. But I definitely want to give this one a shot and see what they do with it, because it could be really great. All right. Leave me some comments below in terms of what you think about Arnold headlining this show, and what you want to see him do in terms of his role as a mentor, as a Yoda, as maybe a Ethan Hunt, a Liam Neeson, Qui-Gon style older action star. And I definitely want to hear what you have to say. And that's it for this episode of In Case You Missed It.